Calling all sports fans. Got a collection of sports cards gathering dust? Maybe some memorabilia tucked away in your attic? Let me tell you about Man Cave Memorabilia. They will buy your cards or collection for cash, but they also offer consignment services through their unique partnership with Golden Auctions and eBay. Head over to mancavememorabilia.com. Click on the Bill Laskey page. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Express Plumbing is a general engineering, general building, and plumbing contractor. We are family-owned and operated and have been serving the Bay Area since 1989. We do everything from small residential repairs to large design-build municipal projects. Express Plumbing provides 24/7 emergency service, and we offer free consultations and estimates. We have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. We take great pride in our work and the reputation we have developed over the years. So we hope that you will give us the opportunity to impress you.
For more information, call 650-370-1SFG. That's 650-370-1734.
From the mound.
The Giants have won the ball game. Bill Laskey, in his first major league start, has shut out the Montreal Expos.
To the mic.
Friend of the show, let's bring in Bryce Eldridge. Let's welcome in Lee Jung-Hoo. Let's welcome in Wade Boggs. Let's bring in Will the Thrill. He's the ace of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Logan, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Good to be on here.
Welcome to Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Giants sweep the LA Dodgers.
Sponsored by Lunardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply the best. Right here on your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR, the sports leader.
Welcome in to an extra inning post-game show on a beautiful Saturday here in Northern California, and it was very nice in Scottsdale, Arizona. The Giants started today 10-2, just playing extremely good baseball, and today it continued with two games, one in Scottsdale and one at Talking Stick, Salt River Fields, where the Giants entertained the Texas Rangers and won the game here in Scottsdale 7-5. And then they went over to Arizona, and they beat the Diamondbacks 7-4, a doubleheader and 2 wins. That's right, we're going to break both games down. And the big one was right here, right in Scottsdale, as they won this one 7-5, as they came from behind with 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Basabe with a 2-out double, and Buddy Kennedy with a base hit to right field to score the 3rd run of the inning, and the Giants prevail 7-5. But it all started that game with Carson Whisenhunt getting the start, and boy, he performed extremely well. He went 3 innings, only giving up 1 hit, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Coming into the game today, his numbers were terrible, and he walked a lot of hitters. So today was a really, really more of a showcase. Can he get back into this groove that everybody keeps talking about, what he can do? And boy, he didn't prevail today. He really pitched well. When you look at what he did in the first couple innings, really just mastered with everything he had. He had a changeup, really one of his best pitches. The fastball was there at 95, and then he threw a curveball at 80 and a slider at 88 miles an hour, a 4-pitch mix. He had 5 strikeouts, 4 of them on changeups, but he got ahead of hitters. He faced 10 hitters, 6 of them with first pitch strikes. This is what the Giants wanted to see out of the youngster. A top prospect for the San Francisco Giants and a left-hander that could be possibly a starter, a middle reliever, or possibly somewhere in the bullpen because they do need some left-handers down there to help out this pitching staff. Well, Carson Whisenhunt really, really threw the wall well today. 35 pitches, 24 for strikes, and like I said, no walks, 5 strikeouts. This was what we wanted to see. This is what Giants fans were waiting to see out of Carson Wisenhunt. Spencer Bivens followed him up with 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Ryan Walker had a nice 1-2-3 clean inning with a strikeout. Matt Gage gave up a 2-run homer to Jake Berger. And then Trent Harris, a young right-hander, struggled. He couldn't get the ball over the plate, gave up 5 hits, and ended up giving up a 3-run home run to Mark Canha. Well, Maldonado comes in with bases loaded, a young right-hander pitching out of A ball yesterday and gets the final out. Will Bednar comes in, throws a nice 1-2-3 inning, only throwing 14 pitches, 8 for strikes. And R.J. Dabovich comes in and finally gets the last out of the 9th inning, and he ends up getting the save. But the Giants end up pulling this one out 7-5. Will Bednar gets the win of this game. And it was just really some good hitting when you look at what the Giants did. Casey Schmidt had a nice 2-for-4 day. You start looking down the lineup, and I think the star of the day today is Gerard Encarnacion. He had a 2-out base hit in the 2nd inning to get the first run in. And then in the 4th inning, he comes up again with a 2-out base hit to right center field. 2 key hits for Gerard Encarnacion. And then he ends up getting a double in the 6th inning. He goes 3 for 3 today with 2 RBIs. He came into the game 4 for 23. And he's got to make this team. He's out of options, and he's starting to feel a little bit better at the plate today, going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. But you look at what this game did. The final 8th inning is when all the guys trying to fight to get a position, and this is what they try to do. Haase gets a base hit to lead off the 8th inning. Cohen comes in with a walk. First time he's in big league camp. It's 1st and 2nd, and Basabe hits a 2-out double to left center field. 2 runs scored, and like I said, Kennedy gets the it to right field. They scored 3, and they win that one 7-5. 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Giants. 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors for Texas. And the Giants go 11-2. Now we go over to Talking Stick, where the Arizona Diamondbacks welcomed in the Giants, and the Giants really had a young team over there, and they really pitched well. J.T. Brubaker took the start. He goes 3 innings, only giving up 1 hit. He gave up a home run to Moreno, but he really pitched well. 41 pitches, 19 for strikes. As I said, he goes 3 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. And then Nick Markevich, who's trying to make that left-handed spot in the bullpen, he goes 3 innings, only giving up 3 hits, 1 run. He goes 38 pitches, 27 for strikes, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And Michael Fulmer, who has not given up a run all year, he ends up going 2 innings, 1 hit, and that was a home run by Fernandez, no walks, 3 strikeouts. He throws 35 pitches, 23 for strikes, so really some really good pitching over a Talking Stick today. Jared Olvia goes 2 for 4 with a stolen base. Will Brennan, the outfielder they picked up from the Guardians, he goes 2 for 3 with a double with 2 RBIs. The main hitter today was Jesus Rodriguez. He goes 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs with 2 doubles. Some really key hits at the top of the order. And we got to talk about the 18-year-old, a shortstop who started the game for the Giants, Jose Gonzalez. And what did he do in his first at bat? He got a base hit. The 18-year-old goes 1 for 3 and really made some nice dazzling plays at shortstop, starting a couple double play balls. But overall, the Giants win 2 today. Just impressive at both games. And you start looking at this team, and this is what Buster Posey wants, competition. And both games showed a lot of competition, and they just held on to the game against Arizona. And this game, the Giants fell behind 5-4 after the 3-run home run by Canha. And the Giants fought back and got 3 in the bottom of the 8th, and they pull out a doubleheader win. So good day today by the San Francisco Giants, winning a doubleheader. And they're now 12-2 in spring training. Of course, numbers don't mean anything, but when you weren't 12-2, that's 12 wins, and that clubhouse is definitely excited, especially when you take a team of a younger team over to Arizona and you got your regulars over here in Scottsdale. But it turned out to be a great day for the San Francisco Giants. I want to talk more about some of the players that we need to talk about and seeing what they're going to do at the end of this 2 weeks left in spring training. before the team heads back north. They play Sacramento River Cats, and then they play a Monday and Tuesday exhibition game against Mexico. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show, 415-808-KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Got a couple calls on hold, but we'll take a quick break, talk more about this doubleheader win, talk more about this 2026 San Francisco Giants roster as we start defining on what the Giants need to pull out this roster, and this is going to be a fun time the next 2 weeks. All right, we'll take a quick break, come right back with more right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
The pitch. Line drive, right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. Here comes the big fella, Bryce Eldridge. He's wheeling around third. The throw's cut off. He scores. Matos to third. And Encarnacion has done it again. A 2-out RBI hit. And the Giants lead 2-0.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Bill Laskey on a nice Saturday. Giants had 2 nice wins today in Arizona. But this week they played very good baseball. On Monday, they beat the Chicago White Sox 6-5. On Wednesday, it was a televised game. Got to see Robbie Ray throw really well. They beat Seattle 9-4. Thursday was an off day. Friday, yesterday, a nice game again. Maley threw the ball very well as they beat Cincinnati 6-3. Of course, they played USA on Tuesday. A very one-sided game. They lost 15-1. We were expecting that with that lineup USA through. But when you look at what the Giants did this week, 3-0. And, of course, today winning 2. They go 5-0 on this week. And a really good baseball. They're playing very good defensive baseball. They're being aggressive on the bases. And today, a come-from-behind game in Scottsdale where they fell behind 5-4. And they come back and win that game with 3 in the bottom of the 8th to win 7-5. And over in Talking Stick, Salt River Fields, they took a young team over there, the Giants did, and they ended up beating Arizona 7-4. A couple pitchers that we need to talk about. Of course, Carson Wisenhunt, I just got done talking a little bit about. But J.T. Brubaker, a pitcher that's really trying to make a presence to get on this 40 or 25-man roster in the bullpen, threw really nice. 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, only giving up 1 home run. And that was to Moreno, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. And they're starting to stretch these guys out a little bit more as we get down to 2 weeks left to go in spring training. Nick Markevich ended up throwing 3 innings over in Salt River. And these are 2 guys that are fighting to get this roster, trying to get in this bullpen somehow. Michael Fulmer gave up his first run this season in spring training, and he's another right-hander that could fit in here. But when you start looking at what happened in Scottsdale, the main guys were in there. Spencer Bivens, Ryan Walker threw very well. Ryan Walker had a nice 1-2-3 inning, only threw 15 pitches, 8 strikes. But the competition is going to start playing a little harder here in the next couple weeks, especially this bullpen. What guys are going to fit in, what spots. Jeremy Affeldt came on this week and was saying, a bullpen needs places for these guys. You just can't throw them down there and thinking they're just going to jump in. They have to know what their role is, and I agree with them. Roles are so important in the bullpen, knowing when you're ready, what innings you should be there, the middlemen, setup men, and then the closer looks like it'll be Ryan Walker. Tomorrow, we're talking about Sunday. Of course, move your clocks up. Spring forward 1 hour, and everything's going to be on time with Arizona. 1:05 first pitch. And we're going to see Landon Root back on the hill. Landon's thrown 3 innings. He's gone 2 games, and he's pitched very well. He hasn't given up a hit yet. 3 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Looking for him to extend it probably to 3 innings tomorrow. Blade Tidwell is going to get back on the mound. So a couple good right-handers tomorrow, and extra innings will be following that game up. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Let's go to Mark in Napa. Mark, you're on with Bill Laskey. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, Bill. How are you doing?
Good, Mark. What's going on today on a beautiful Saturday? Giants win a double hitter. Some good baseball still going on in Scottsdale. They're 12-2. What do you think so far?
I think they're doing fantastic. I am really excited. So far, so good. I must ask you one quick trivia question. What 70s, 80s highlight show had the initials TWIB?
TWIB?
TWIB. This week in baseball.
Oh, this week in baseball?
I just saw a fantastic retrospective about the theme and the music that they played, and thought that might jingle some memories for you as it did for me. But as far as
that was a great show every Saturday, Mark. That was fun to watch, all the highlights. So it was before ESPN really started showing everything. Yeah. Everybody was glued onto that show.
maybe George Michael's Sports Machine was also contemporaneous, but give or take, But yeah, but the music, the stirring music, I won't try to imitate it, but you'd know it if I played it. So at any rate, about the Giants, truly an inside baseball question. Who are the holdovers on the coaching staff? And if there aren't any, what are your impressions of them, or what do you know about them? Because I just know zero about it. I'm trying to be educated. I'm not even sure who the first and third base coaches are, for example.
Well, your first and base coaches are all changed. There's no question there. Alex Berg, the catching coach, he stayed on. A hitting coach stayed on. I can't think of his name offhand. Not too many coaches stayed, only a couple. A whole new staff is what Tony Vitello
How many coaches are
Pardon
there?
me?
How many coaches are there, give or take? How many coaches are there, give or take? I don't even know that.
Oh, there's probably 10 or 12 this year. There's so many. There are two hitting coaches, a couple pitching coaches, but there's a lot of analytic guys. You can go to A to Z with this. There's so many. But, talking to different people that have been down there, as well as some of the coaches that have gone down there to help out the team, everybody says these guys are working extremely hard. Of course, Ron Washington's down there helping the defense, one of the best defensive coaches around. Bruce Bochy's down there this week. We saw him in the press box this afternoon in the game. A lot of old guys, because those are the older guys that are kind of helping to assist, but a lot of new blood. And I think that's what's kind of making this. New voices, new theories, and what's happening is they're playing good, sound baseball.
Well said. I'm sure they have to kind of blend the whole analytics and eye test and sort of come up with their mix. And I'm sure AI is a whole new brave new world when it comes to that, and how it can analyze hours of film in seconds. But, I think there's that balance. I'm shorthanding it to eye test versus analytics. There's a million other things that come into it, injury history, et cetera. But you know what I'm saying as far as what's your rubric for making a decision on a player?
Well, I think, Mark, what's the biggest thing is you can't get enough information, and they're giving the information to these players about pitchers, how to play defense, where you're positioning players, but it's really up to the player. I've talked to several pitchers. Hayden Birdsong, one, I had a great interview with him, and you could tell me everything about his mechanics, how he's doing it, mentally, physically, but he's still got to go out there and perform. So all these people that are putting all this information to the players and the pitchers, they have to go out and like you said, the eye test is what it is. You got to go out and perform in certain situations. Look at what Gerard Encarnacion does today, comes up with 2 key hits with 2 outs. That's what's an eye test for. That's what you want to see, what these guys can perform. Runners in scoring position, he comes up big. I'm very impressed what he's been doing lately.
Well, I will thank you for your generous time and your insightfulness, and I will leave you with this. As far as you think players, is it instinct, or is it learned, or is it practice? I will leave you with that. Thank you, Bill.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, it is all about practice. You can do so much repetition and get your mindset, your body set, understanding how you're getting prepared in the batting cages, pitchers in the bullpen. But like I just said, you have to go out and perform. You have to go out there and calm the waters, calm the heartbeat, and perform. And you perform at a high level, at the big league level. These young kids that are coming up, to give that opportunity to see what they can do in these games. And that's what you want. And what that does for the player, they go back to the minor league saying, hey, I played in a couple big league games. I know what the talent is at the big league level. Now I have to get better at what I do in A-ball, AA, and AAA, and I have to perform enough to keep being moved up. And that's what you want to do as a minor leaguer. You want to continue to try to advance and get to that AAA level to get an opportunity to get to the big leagues. There's so much to do, and there's so many things that each player has to do daily. And it's the preparation, it's the advancement, it's knowing how to do and how to get better, and it's also knowing how you get better with your body. You got to take care of the body for health reasons. But good stuff right there, Mark, leading off the show. Let's go out to Sacramento and talk to Ray. Ray, you're on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. How you doing up in Sac?
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Doing good. Good double hitter today. Had my iPad on, watching the game, listening to the game. Had a lot of things going on, multitasking, but both games came out well. And the second game in Arizona, some young hitters like Jesus Rodriguez had a real nice day today. 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. And that's kind of what we want to see. What's the next wave of players?
You bet. I like that too. That Gonzalez at shortstop. That's all I wanted. Well, there's two things I want to talk about, but it's crazy to think, being 18 and being a shortstop and playing in the big leagues. Because I know when I was 18 in high school, I couldn't even imagine my next step would be a professional team. It's just unreal. Because I'm going to tell you, I want to thank you personally. It's been many, many, many years, but you came to my hometown of Merced 1,000 years ago. I think with Jim Gott and Len Cicada to the mall. And I don't know if you remember that or not, but you guys came there to sign autographs, and it was the first time my dad took me, and I've never even got an autograph. And I remember you being really big and Jim Gott being quite a character. I can remember that. I don't know if
Jim Gott was a character. I tell you what, you're absolutely right. But when we do those things, we do it for the fans. We do it to get out there and introduce ourselves and be more personable. And I think that was the key. You just named 3. Myself, Jim Gott, and Cicada, great people, good personalities. Yeah. We have fun together, and that's what makes all those events good. It doesn't matter where they are. You go into a room, and everybody's staring at you. They want to talk to you, and you just kind of be like yourself. And if you're yourself and you meet these fans, which Giants fans are so, they're great in every which way, any part of Northern California, and they support the players. And those are fun events. And I'm sure, Ray, you feel the same way. We were very personable with everybody.
Yeah, you bet. It's something I didn't forget. I don't think I said 2 words at the time, but I know I became a Giants fan after that, and I was pretty fortunate to be in Merced, and this is going way back too. We used to go to Fresno to watch the Fresno Giants play, and I remember Will Clark when he played for them, and it just made it kind of like I followed. I played a little bit, and it just what I'm saying is like seeing an 18-year-old playing shortstop, and it's a difference. How crazy it is. I coached a little bit at the high school, but going from high school even to junior college, the difference in talent. You think you're great in high school, you even go to a small junior college, and the talent is just exceedingly better. And it's just I think about. I love watching the minor leagues, and I try to catch the 7th Giant games and things. But so I'll say, you got me into baseball. I had a really fun life out of that, and it just kind of got me curious. And I just appreciate that. I still have your autograph.
That's a great memory, Ray. I really appreciate. I appreciate you bringing that up, Ray. And you're talking about Gonzalez, who's 18 years old. Think about his heartbeat running out to shortstop in a big league game, and here's a guy that could be back in rookie ball playing. I mean, they made the jump with him. Very good shortstop, quick hands, cannon for an arm. He gets a base hit the first time up today. So he was definitely excited. But you're absolutely right when you start about minor league players and how much the fans love them when you go to Eugene, you go to Richmond, you go to Sacramento, and you get to know the fans. When I played, it was Fort Myers, it was Jacksonville, it was Omaha, Nebraska, because I came up with the Royals. And I still talk to some of those players and fans. It's amazing how well they stay in touch with you. And, of course, doing radio, a lot of people still listen to me across the nation. And they do listen, and they love to talk baseball just like I do. But when you reminisce like you did, it brings back some great memories.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I keep going, and it's just great listening when I drive a lot. And what I like is you just like talking ball. You get a lot of the radio show guys, and they're a little bit they try to do the shock and awe thing, but you just want to talk ball, and I think that's what a lot of people like. So I really appreciate that.
Well, Ray, I appreciate that. I appreciate the memory, man. That's fun. So I thank you for your time today, and call in more. We can talk some more baseball, but appreciate it. Let's go out to Edward. He's in Walnut Creek. Edward, you're on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. How's your day going?
Hey, Bill. It's going really good. I enjoyed listening to the baseball game today and hearing, even though it doesn't really, go down as far as the record. I mean, it was great to hear Giants come back, and I was kind of excited about that. And the thing I wanted to call about was I have one comment and 2 questions for you. The
Go
comment
ahead.
is, I noticed that the Giants are actually taking more walks than the strikeouts so far this year, and that's amazing compared to the past few years. So I think that's a really big improvement. I heard that Buster is drafting and signing free agents purposely that have, low strikeout ratios. And I think just putting the ball in play is going to help the Giants this year. And then
that's a great observation, too. I just want to tell you, Edward, that's a great observation. And one of the other things that I like seeing is they're going the opposite way to put the ball in play. Seeing a little bit, you saw Casey Schmidt go that way. You saw Encarnacion go to right field. I love that because that means the ball's traveling into their hands a little longer before they make that big swing. These guys are making better contact, and that's a great point you're bringing up today. Less strikeouts. They only had 6 strikeouts in the game in Scottsdale. They had 5 walks, 11 hits. Those are great numbers. And then as they came back from that game, some of the younger players got some key hits. Basabe, a great double with 2 outs with runners on first and second to take the lead. And Buddy Kennedy, a young player that came over from the Dodgers, had 2 nice hits today. So you start thinking, hey, some of these young guys could start in AAA, but then again, you start looking at that pack of guys that are ready to come up. They're going to fight. And I think that's what Buster wants, that competition. We keep talking about it in every show, but competition brings the blood out of you. And when you start thinking about how these guys are playing, these at-bats are grinders, and they're trying to make every at-bat count.
Yeah, and Bill, you know what it is too? It's not just that it's better for the team, I mean, that you're going to win more games, but it's also more entertaining. I mean, it gets really old when you go to a game and you see 15 strikeouts, especially with runners in scoring position. I mean, how many times do you see or have you seen in the past few years the Giants with runners on second and third or bases loaded with no outs, and they don't even get the runner in from third? I mean, that's...
Boy, you're so right, too. You're so right, Edward. And how many times when I get on these shows and I go, runners in scoring position, 1 for 13, 2 for 12, it hurts you. And those opportunities hopefully will change. You said it. Make contact. Put the ball in play. Luis Ariz, I think, is going to be a big, big plus for them. A man that doesn't strike out, puts the ball in play a lot. And I think that's going to help other players. That's going to help an Elliot Ramos. That's going to help out a Jung-Hoo Lee putting the ball in play. I think those are the guys that when Buster said, I want guys to make contact, those are the players that you can drive on. Rafael Devers, teach me how to go the opposite way. Teach me how to hit a ball out of the ballpark. That's what these younger players are going to thrive on when you start thinking about all these guys in their careers. When you talk about Ariz, a 3-time batting champ, you got to learn from him. You got to take what he does in the batting cage and learn what he does to how to put the ball in play. Those are teaching moments, and those are the moments no coach can help. Player to player is what you want to see.
Hey, Bill, before I go, I've got 2 questions for you. The first one is, if you had to pick out one player so far this spring that excites you, who would that player be?
Boy, that's a good one right there. I'd have to really think about it because a lot of the regulars are playing. Casey Schmidt's starting to hit the ball a lot better. I like what he's doing with the bat, hitting 4th today, coming up with 2 nice base hits. I want to see Patrick Bailey get on base more. He had a nice double down the right field line. If you're talking about the regulars that most likely will make this team, I like those 2. I want to see them hit a little bit better. Bryce Eldridge, of course, the quotations you got to put around him, had 2 nice walks today. There's some exciting players besides the regulars with Adames, Chapman, a player that I really think is going to be real difficult to see what they're going to do with is Luis Matos. Matos is hitting over 450. He is out of options. Encarnacion had 3 hits today. He's out of options. I just don't know what's going to end up at the end of the line. What guys are going to make this team, and then what do they do with these 2? Because they're out of options. They're going to become free agents. They're going to lose them. So the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions And these decisions are going to be Buster Posey and his coaching staff, and what does Tony Vitello want off that bench, because they're kind of bench players. They're kind of like a fourth outfielder, a DH. Let me ask you. I'll turn it around on you. What do you think? What guy kind of opens up your eyes?
The outfielder, Bo Davidson. He kind of excites
young player.
He has power,
big prospect,
speed,
yeah,
a great arm. I mean, I think he could really turn into, not maybe this year, but in the future, a great outfielder.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. A lot of good prospects, no question about that, Edward. But thanks for the call today. Some good stuff right there. Great baseball talk, and I appreciate that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, got some more phone calls, 415-808-KNBR. Got a couple great interviews later today. Will Bednar, who got the win today through a nice 1-2-3 inning. And Dave Brundage, who's starting his 10th year in Sacramento as the manager. But let's get to some more phone calls. We'll take a quick break. 415-808-KNBR. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Here's the pitch. Cued the other way into right field, a base hit. Rolls into right field. 1 run scores. 2 runs score. Susak to third. Willie Adames says just put it in play. And good things happen. He hit it right off the end of the bat, and it just rolled through the right side of the infield, and it's 4-0, the Giants lead.
Back on Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. We were just talking about making contact, and Willie Adames did exactly what we talked about. That was in the 4th inning. The Giants scored 2 runs on that, and it was a base hit to right field, putting the ball in play. They're doing a lot more of that. Casey Schmidt had a nice base hit to right field earlier in the game. And then you start looking at what Gerard Encarnacion has done. And today going 3 for 3 and came up in situations where we talk about runners in scoring position. And he got a knock in both times with 2 outs, a base hit in the 2nd inning, a base hit in the 4th inning. And then he got a nice double in the 6th inning. A real nice game for Encarnacion going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Where is he going to fit in? How is he going to make this roster? The same thing with Luis Matos. Luis Matos hitting over 450. He ended up getting a walk today. Hit a couple line drives, one to the shortstop, Seager, and then hit a deep fly ball to left field. But he's been really playing well. And these are 2 guys that are out of options. This is going to really play down to the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks left for spring training before the Giants break. And they come home to play the Sacramento River Cats on the 22nd, the 23rd, and 24th. They have exhibition games against Mexico. And then what happens on the 25th, Giants fans? It's opening night. The only game scheduled, the New York Yankees in town for a 5:05 first pitch. It's coming. It's coming quick, too, and I can't wait for this season of baseball to get going. But today the Giants had a split squad. They win 2 games. They won in Scottsdale 7-5. They beat the Texas Rangers. And then they went to Arizona and played the D-backs, and they won that game 7-4. They're 12-2 in spring training. Yeah, it's only spring training, but the wins keep coming, and the good baseball is sound. And that's what I think all Giants fans are looking at. We got to watch the game on NBC Bay Area today. John Miller and Dwayne Kuiper was on the call there, and really has some nice interviews with Patrick Bailey, Ron Washington, a good friend of mine, ex-teammate, and then Landon Roop. 3 good interviews with 3 good pieces of the puzzle, as I say. And Ron Washington is definitely that guy that's going to help this defense. The defense got to clean up a lot of things, and they've been playing some real sound baseball. 415-808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Let's go out to Palo Alto and talk to Raj. Raj, you're on Extra Inning Post-Game Show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing great. How the heck are you?
A good doubleheader win. I think that's a big plus there when you had most of the veterans playing in Scottsdale, the younger players playing in Salt River. But at the same time, Raj, that's what you want to see, competition, and they played very well both games.
I'm right there with you. And you're right, 12-2, spring training. I mean, okay, the record doesn't matter, but who doesn't love a winning clubhouse, right? I mean, it carries over into the regular season.
It does. And, they won last year, if you remember. They won the Cactus League. They played really well the last 2 weeks of spring training, and now there's 2 weeks left. You're going to see a lot of these pitchers, the starters, pushing out a little bit more. 3 innings. JT Brubaker threw 3. Carson Wisenhunt, his best outing of spring today. And you want to start seeing that. You want to see a little bit more depth with some of these arms, strengthening their pitch count.
Yeah, absolutely. I was out in spring training last year with my son and son-in-law, and it was great. This year, we're at home. Our son blessed us. Our son and daughter-in-law blessed us with a grandson right after the World Series, and so we're home with the little ones, and that's great. But Bill, I wanted to talk to you about double headers and double plays. Obviously, we had a different kind of a double header today. I mean, it's a split squad one. I want to take you back to your playing days, and what was it like for players? Because we don't see doubleheaders that often anymore, but back then, we'd see doubleheaders all the time. I enjoyed the heck out of them. But what was it like for players? Because I got to figure that's a long day.
It's a long day, and then you got to look at what you do to prepare for the game. You're coming in 2-3 hours before the game. You got BP. You got all your workouts, your stretching. Then you play the first game. And usually in between those double hitters, it's about a half hour, 40 minutes. It's really getting the pitcher warmed up. A lot of players get to play. I think that's the advantage of having a double hitter. You have more of your roster that gets to get some at-bats, some guys that can pitch a little bit more. Maybe a long man gets a start. That's what the double hitters were made for. More of us, how can your team, play all together and of course, try to win a double hitter. Most of the time, you usually split a doubleheader. It's very difficult to win, too. Those were fun games because you get excited to play doubleheaders. They don't play them now as much, maybe a rain out or a schedule change where you have to play a doubleheader. But, boy, oh, boy, you remember the Chicago Cubs, let's play two all the time. That was one of the great lines.
Well, you have a memory.
And those were fun, right? You remember them, Raja. You were going for a double hitter. You know you were going to be at the ballpark 6 hours minimum, right?
Absolutely. And you and I talked
it
about
was fun.
Baseball players, but I'm going to bring up a White Sox player, Wilbur Wood, back in the early 70s. It's over 50 years ago, pitched and started both games of the doubleheader. I mean, my goodness, that's pretty special. So
that is. He just passed away recently too. I mean, he was, of course, the big knuckleballer. That he was knuckleballs you could throw all day. It was difficult. Some of the guys back in the 40s and the 50s that pitch one game and start the second game, just like what you're talking about, Wilbur Wood. It's a hard day, a long day. As a starting pitcher for the second game, you usually don't dress out for the first game, and you're sitting in a clubhouse trying to stretch, get ready to pitch the second game. Those days are a little longer because your prep time, you're trying to figure out, when do I get going here? How long is this first game going to go? And then if they use the whole bullpen, I guess I got to eat up innings. A lot of things in the mental part of the game if you're pitching that second game where you got to sit there and watch and kind of prepare as the innings proceed.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing about Wilbur Wood and the knuckler, not just Wilbur, but I never knew if it was harder to throw a knuckler or to catch one. I mean, I don't know how catchers could.
That's the truth. I'm sure you've tried, right? I've tried, and you could get hit in the head with those things. You just got to watch, and of course the pancake mitt for the catcher, because they can't it's got to be more of I just got to block the ball or drop knock it down. It's hard to catch, and when you get guys throwing it with a little speed to it. Tom Candiotti had a real good one too. I remember pitching with him with Cleveland and warming him up. We'd go down there and just watch his knuckleball in warm-ups, and the catcher would go, my God, Tom, they're going everywhere, because you don't have really control of it, because you don't know how the spin is going to go, right, left, down, up. Fun pitches, but you don't see too many of them anymore.
It's like kids going after, a butterfly. You don't know. So, 'cause I remember Wilbur had a catcher, Ed Herman, and he had that pancake mitt. And it was like almost his personal catcher, because, he's the only one who can catch me. But I want to shift gears a little, if you don't mind, to double plays, staying with the theme of doubles. So, again, going back to the day, you're on the mound, you're in a bit of a jam, and all of a sudden, your shortstop, your second baseman, your first baseman, or maybe, it's just, your guy at third, or maybe it's an outfielder, but, three guys, save your butt. And what would you say to them when you're back in the dugout? Because, they got you out of that jam.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you're trying to get that double play, especially when scenarios first and second, one out, first and third with one out. I was a sinker ball slider kind of guy, so my biggest thing was getting the ball down. And most of the time, if I had a good sinker, it would be a right-hander in on his hands, he'd hit it to second base. Left-hander, you'd pitch away, hit a ball to third base. So those were the guys that really were on their toes when you knew what pitch was coming. That's why it's so important infielders know what pitch is coming, because 90% of the time, if it's pitch thrown correctly, that ball's going to come to you. So a lot of it is staying prepped, staying ready, and then they're ready to make that play. But it's the quick feet, quick hands. And that's what I loved about my infield. My infield had some good ones. I had some good ones. Dwayne Kuiper being one, Joe Morgan being one, Manny Trio being one, and then the shortstop, Johnny LeMaster, Jose Uribe. You know, you start thinking about Robbie Thompson, then you look at third base. I had some real good third basemen, Darrell Evans, Tom O'Malley, Matt Williams. I mean, these guys were coming up. Will Clark, you can't say anything more about Will at first. But I also had good one. Reggie Smith was at first base most of the time. Dave Bergman, the late, great Dave Bergman. You had guys that could feel their position. You just had to make that ground ball out to make these guys flip it, turn it, and get the double play. But most of the time it was like a high five, a glove raise to give them a high five. They want the ball. And I think that's what you want from your infielders, especially middle infielders. They want the ball all the time.
Well, I love you calling out all these guys. I mean, thanking them today, not just back in the day, you know, in the dugout, but I love that. And, you know, bringing it up to date a little bit for the New York Giants fans. I mean, how lucky were we to have 3 Brandons turn a double play, right?
Oh, my goodness.
We all know Crawford.
Yes.
We all remember Belt. Yeah, but we had Brandon Hicks there at second for a while, and that was pretty special. So,
boy, when you talk about Crawford and Panic up the middle, those two guys just knew where the ball was coming. They knew where to throw the ball. And that's why, you know, when you start talking about this new wave of guys with Willie Adames and a rise at second base, they have to get comfortable where the ball's going to come. Where is it going to be? By their chest, a little lower, where their hands are going to be. Because a lot of times they don't even want to catch the ball. I remember Joe Morgan catching the ball on the back of his glove where the hand would catch it and throw. And Joe Morgan had a glove so small, it was amazing what he could do with his hands. But that's what you want, though, Raj. You want fast hands. Fast hands, approach the ball and get rid of it. And that's what's so great when you start looking at all the Gold Glove winners.
I'm glad you called out Joe Panic and Brandon Crawford, because, you know, I do a little bit with leadership, you know, in my consulting practice and here at Stanford and stuff. And I would say, if you want to know what leadership is like, don't think one, you know, think two. And think two, you know, like a shortstop and a second baseman, and think two that have a language without saying a word to each other.
That's exactly
I mean,
right.
that's, you know, watching Brandon and Joe, you know, Crawford and Panic, they didn't have to say anything. They didn't have to look at each other. They just knew the other guy was going to be there for him. And that was special. That was very special.
And you know this, Joe, Raj, with Joe and Brandon, they open their mouth on a breaking ball to keep their lips straight on a fastball, so you know what's coming. And that was back when they had signs. Of course, now they have the automated stuff in their head or their hat, so they know what pitch is coming. But back then, that was the fun part about it. When they saw the signs and they'd put their hand behind their glove and show them breaking ball or fastball. Then they can move to the left. They move to the right. That's baseball to me. That's how baseball was played back in the day when you had signs by the catcher. And you had, just like you said, you didn't have to say a word. Didn't have to say, go to your left, go to your right. It was automatic. And that's what made those guys so good.
You know, Bill, at a recent book talk, I've got my novel out that you and I talked about towards the fall of last year. And you said, hey, call back when the novel's out. It's called Double Play on the Red Line. But I was talking, you know, somebody asked me, why baseball? You know, why not another sport? And I said, you know, I love all sports. They're all great. But, you know, baseball is my first love. But the thing is, as a novelist, there's a poetry about baseball language. That's what you were just talking about. You know, in the day, I mean, I know the language evolves, but there's just a beauty about it. And, you know, I hope maybe a future call or maybe in between here and then, you and I can get together and talk a little bit more about the novel. And, you know, I think baseball fans would love it. I'm confident you would.
I think so too, Raj. And you know what? It's all about the communication of baseball, how you see it, how we see it, how you play it. And that's what makes the love of baseball come out of all of us. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, college, professional. When you put that uniform on, there's something about playing baseball that gets you excited. And I'm sure your book really prevails that.
And don't forget my grandkids, T-ball too.
Raj, thanks for the call today. It was great talking to you. And we'll talk down the road. I appreciate your time. Let's go out to Hayward and talk to my buddy Rick. Rick, you're on Extra Innings. on a Saturday afternoon. Giants take a 2 doubleheader game today. They're now 12-2. You got to be excited about that, Rick.
I am happy that the way that they're playing. I don't put much stock into this because we won the spring training last year and ended up 81-81. But yeah, that's a different team. One of the things that I heard you say a little while ago was big decisions for the manager and Buster about guys like Grant McCrae, Encarnacion, Matos, especially those three, because they're out of options. Well, I don't think it's a problem at all. You bring them up in lieu of releasing them right out of the gate at the end of spring. You just bring them up if they're doing good enough. And once they it's going
to be tough, though, Rick. There's a lot more players that are also fighting for a position. That's the other thing. You know, you're talking about certain players. What do you take? You take 4 outfielders, 5 outfielders? Do you take Encarnacion as a DH off the bench or pinch hitter? What position are you putting them in?
Well, you got Susak as your catcher. You got Koss and Schmidt because Schmidt can play everywhere as your infielders. And then you take Encarnacion and Matos as your outfielders. And you go with Ramos, you go with Lee, and you go with Ramos, Lee, and Bader as your starters.
Yeah.
And that's your team for the start of the year at least, because you got 2 outfielders, 2 infielders, and a catcher. A backup catcher. That's your 5. And you go with your starters. And I see that.
I think that
how
it makes sense. It makes sense when you line that up like that. And I think that's why Buster's saying, I want competition. I want to know where a Will Brennan's going to go, a guy they picked up from the Guardians. He's got an option left, probably starting in AAA. There's so many guys. Barracoto is another guy that when you talk about Tony Vitello, he really likes Barracoto. I think you might see a surprise here with a younger player breaking in. I don't know how they're going to do it. They got 2 weeks to evaluate this, but eventually they're going to start cutting players here in the next week or so, and the roster will come down a little bit more. Rick, you know this. The last couple of weeks, you start bringing in more players. Now the competition is, how am I going to break this? How are these guys going to test it? But you're absolutely right with Matos and Encarnacion. I don't think they're going to be let go. Both these guys are valuable, and they've been playing very well lately.
And if it comes to release them or bring them up and put them on the roster, I think they put them on the roster, see how they start doing, and if you got those players down in the minors that have options, those are your backups. And then even if Matos and Encarnacion are doing good once the season starts and somebody needs an outfielder, well, you got a trade chip right there.
You're forgetting about one guy here, and I think you're forgetting about a 6'7" left-hand hitter named Bryce Eldridge. And
no, I'm not forgetting about him.
I think that's a name that we keep not talking about, and I think he's earned his way to get on this roster. Of course, the next couple of weeks, I think he's got more confidence than what we've seen in him. I think he's hitting the ball well. Hit a nice triple the other day, had a couple walks today. Understanding the strike zone, not afraid of using the ABS, which I really love. And where do you fit him in? Do you put him as a extra first baseman, DH?
He's got options. I think he starts the year in AAA. I mean,
wow.
How many months did he have at AAA last year? What was it, a month?
Yeah, I think it was up and down. He's only been in the big leagues. He was only up in the big leagues a couple of weeks. He didn't have that many at bats. It's going to be real interesting on how all this is going to be broken down here. And Rick, you might end up losing one of the 2 guys. Grant McCrae has done so well in getting better at the strike zone, putting the ball in play. His speed is exceptional. And what do they want? What does Buster Posey want off that bench? Because that's going to be the majority of what we're talking about. The 9 guys are going to compete every day. We know who those 9 are going to be. with your starting pitchers. It's going to be what's going to happen in the bullpen. Does Susac win the backup catching job? Does Haas beat him out? Still some questions, but still, I think you're absolutely right. The roster is going to start trimming down here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And to your last caller, bringing up all those past players, God, I can close my eyes and I can see you pitching in one of those doubleheaders at Candlestick. And
they were fun, weren't they? I mean, fans loved them too, right?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
You'd go out for a doubleheader. Hell yeah, you go out there for 6 hours.
Yeah, baseball, you get free baseball. You get 2 games for the price of 1. You can go out. We used to go out to the bleachers, and I'm 61, so in the 80s, I was like, we're talking 80, 81. I was still in my teens, and you could go out there for $250 and sit out there and watch 2 games for $250.
And jump over the fence and get a ball when it hit a home run, because that was Candlestick. It was so wild when a home run was hit. You saw 10, 15 people jumping around for that ball, but fun times. Those are all good times, and I love that Raj brought that up about double hitters, because you just don't see that many anymore.
No, it's all economics now. You got to make each game count in the turnstile area. And when they did it, I thought they did it more for travel than anything. You get that one extra day of travel, and granted, in the 80s it didn't matter much because you guys were flying everywhere. But when they actually had doubleheaders, they did them for more travel day on Monday. Mm-hmm. And do
you remember, Rick, when they used to do them in AAA or AA? The first game would be 9 innings. The second game would be 7 innings back in the day. That's what they used to do.
I lived in the Bay Area, so I never got to witness a minor league game. I'm a child of the A's and the Giants. I got all my games.
Nothing wrong with that, though, Rick. Baseball. Nothing wrong there.
No, heck no.
Well, Rick, thanks for the call, buddy. We'll find out. And, next couple weekends, we'll be talking about the roster and what the Giants are going to do. They'll be trimming these people down now. They'll be trimming these players. The roster will start trimming down to AAA, AA, and guys that have been playing the late innings. That's going to be manufactured a little less because these guys are going to be pushing on. But we'll find out more, Rick. But thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, how are you on a Saturday?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Well, doubleheader. I was all over the place, multitasking on both games, but it was fun to see a lot of young players like I've been talking about. Jesus Rodriguez having a great game against Arizona. He went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles. And then you flip it over to the game in Scottsdale, and you see Basabe come up with a great double, bringing 2 runners in. And those are the kind of guys I want to see succeed, the younger players getting that opportunity.
Right. Well, I'm an astrologer, so I always look at birth dates and check it out. Gonzalez is October 10, 2007. So that's a new one on us. He's born in 2007.
18 years old. 18 years old, and he's starting at shortstop. Boy, he had a good game, too. I was happy for him.
And he had a really good game, and it was nice to see Carson Wisenhunt have a really good game. And, Gonzalez, timing is everything. He's a Libra with Mars, important planet for an athlete, energy, assertion, aggression in Cancer. Jupiter's in Cancer, opportunity. So literally Jupiter aligning with Mars. Here he is 18 in the big leagues. So that was nice. And Carson Wisenhunt, that was an excellent performance, as a pitcher. 3 strong innings.
He needed that, Andre. He's been scuffling and not throwing a lot of strikes, getting behind hitters. Today, 6 first pitch strikes out of 10 hitters. That's the biggest thing that he could do today. Salvaged 5 strikeouts in 3 innings and really had a nice 4-pitch mix. The fastball was in the high 90s. The changeup is his bread and butter. He went to that, getting 4 changeup for strikes for a 3rd strike out of those 5 strikeouts. And then the curveball and the slider. He's starting to get that over for strikes. But Patrick Bailey, I'm glad he got to throw to Patrick Bailey. Bailey really called a good game, used all his pitches, and he came out. He walked out of that clubhouse saying, hey, I finally found Carson Wisenhunt, the guy that I know I could do, going 3 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 35 pitches, 24 for strikes. no doubt Buster Posey was happy with that performance.
Right, and you as a pitcher know how important a catcher is. So that was excellent. Yeah, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, which we like, 35 pitches, very
huge.
economical, and 24 of them for strikes.
Yeah,
so
he really dominated the strike zone. And Texas had a pretty good lineup out there. They had 3 or 4 guys that were in their starting lineup. Seager was in there. Langsford, he punched out. He punched out Berger. A couple good hitters where he fell behind or he got ahead, and then he used that changeup when he got to a 2-strike count. But it was all in favor of the Giants today in getting 2 wins. Tomorrow we get to see Landon Root pitch. I'm really excited for Landon Root this year. He's healthy. He's got a great mindset. He's going to throw against the Cubs, and we'll have the extra inning post-game show after that to dissect what he did.
Yes, look forward to that. I heard him at the Q&A at the Giants Fan Fest in San Ramon, so he had some really good things to say. So that'll be nice.
Well, you have a good rest of the day, Andrea, and have a good weekend if I don't talk to you tomorrow, but it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, thanks, Bill. Great show.
I appreciate it. Giants win 2 today. They win against Texas in Scottsdale 7-5. 7 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Giants. 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Texas Rangers. They end up winning the second game against the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-4. 7 runs, 10 hits in that game for the Giants. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Diamondbacks, and the Giants take 2 games. They're 12-2. My guest coming up, Will Bednar. He pitched today. How about that? He even got the win today. He went 1 inning, 1 strikeout. Threw a lot of strikes, 14 pitches, 8 for strikes, and he feels better. Of course, he's had shoulder issues. He's had lower back issues. And I had a chance to catch up with him to talk about a little bit about his brother, who's now pitching for the USA team, Dave Bednar, 6 years apart. But we talk about strategy. We talk about the mental game. We talk about what Will did to kind of listen to Dave and have a guiding hand by his older brother. So I want to talk about a little Will Bednar coming up. It's going to be a great little conversation I had with him. That's going to come up next right here on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm honored to have my guest on. One of the young pitchers in spring training, trying to get back on track. Let's welcome in Will Balnarb. Will, how are you today?
Wonderful. Another beautiful morning here at the complex. It's been awesome. So I have no complaints at all.
Well, I think the biggest question is health. You know, we've had a lot of expectations from you over the past few years, and the back issues and the shoulder issues are gone. How healthy and how do you feel, pretty much?
I feel great. I mean, this is the best that I felt, especially coming into, spring training. This is the most prepared and ready I think I've ever been.
You know, you've had a couple opportunities on the mound. A couple things have got good. A couple things of a ball thrown into center field on a little anxiety, more or less. But you come back and you get a ground ball double play. How did you just calm yourself down at that time?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of realizing that that's just part of it. It's just kind of keep on doing what I was doing because before that I was throwing a lot of strikes. Both pitchers were working well, so I just, obviously that PFP didn't quite go as well as I'd hoped, but no, I just kind of put my head back down and kept doing what I was doing.
That has to make you feel good about just settling down. You know, the heartbeat starts racing, the anxiety gets going. Both of us are pitchers. It happens to all of us, but at the same time, you did the right thing. You just calmed down. You got back in the zone. As I said, you got a nice ground ball double play. What was the pitches working for you that day?
Fastball and slider were working really well. The slider's been kind of a newer pitch, or I guess it's different than my old slider. So it's harder and it's a little bit more up and down than it is side to side. So it plays a little bit better off my fastball.
Well, you've been in spring training a couple of years. Arizona's really tough when it comes to breaking balls. Humidity is, and ball just doesn't spin sometimes right. How do you overcome that?
I think just kind of, not putting too much thought in it, and just I think just not worrying about it, because knowing that, you know, when you get in the season, things will start to click a little bit more. But, you know, so far I haven't had any major problems with that where it's too drastic of a change.
That voice you hear on the Extra Inning post-game show, Will Bednar. Let's go back in time. Mars, Pennsylvania. You grew up there. You had an older brother named Dave. But one of the cool things, you got to play for your dad. And that's something that we all remember about playing for your dad as a coach. How was that for you?
It was good. I mean, he was always on me from the time that I could play baseball. He was definitely on me more than everyone else. But no, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without, you know, him, you know, being there and pushing me like he did.
Well, the other thing too, Will, he got to play. Andy is your dad's name, and he did play some college baseball. And you know, he ended up coaching you. Of course, he was always in your brother's ear too. When you have your dad that knows so much about baseball, and the conversation around the dining table between you, your brother, and your dad has to be a lot of baseball.
I think it's good and bad, because, you know, I mean, he loves baseball more than anyone I know. And it's funny because, you know, sometimes, you know, when we get done at the field, it's the last thing we want to talk about. And that's the biggest thing he wants to talk about. But no, I mean, he loves the game. You know, he loves coming to spring training and watching, you know, games, practices, everything. And even when we went to see Dave in spring training when he was at the Padres, he'd want to go to the field and just watch practice. and you know, young teenage me is like, Dad, what are we doing? Like, we can't do anything else. But no, it's definitely good having someone who loves the game so much, be so close to me. Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, let's talk about your brother Dave, older brother of yours, a guiding hand, as your dad once said, somebody that you can reflect on, some of the good, some of the bad. He's older. Of course, he's pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the best relievers in the game. A lot of conversation you would have with your brother. What does he kind of tell you at certain times?
I mean, his biggest thing has been to stay steady, not get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. And he's been, you know, the embodiment of that. Like, throughout his career, he's been really good, obviously. And there's been times that hasn't been so good, and he's been the same guy, and he's been consistent. He gets his work done, and so he's just been just an awesome role model for how to go about your business, how to carry yourself. And I've just been able to pick his brain and get a lot from him.
You know, there's a lot of good things that you can talk to him about, a lot of the mental side of the game that he's gone ups and downs on. And he's trying to just more or less teach you, hey, you just said it, balance. Let's keep it cool. Let's keep it on one level. You can strike out 10, but the next day you got to look at the next start. You know, what are some of the things that he kind of drives into you about the pitching part of the game?
The biggest thing is kind of just the confidence part, knowing you belong, and knowing, you know, the stuff's there. It's all about just competing, you know, and you know, it's the competition and the work ethic. And then the other big thing that he's been big on is kind of helping me develop a routine, like a daily routine, with prep work, catch play, and even some routine for getting ready to go into the game.
Boy, that's good advice right there from Big Brother. I was reading when you went to high school, you know, one of the first years you were a catcher. And you were behind the plate before you went on the mound. You only had pitched 15 innings that year, but primarily a catcher. Why putting that gear on was so important for you in high school?
I mean, growing up, I loved catching. And then, you know, as I started getting older, started throwing a little better off the mound, it was kind of like getting away from catching. And, you know, this pitching thing's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I did the unconventional thing. I was kind of like mostly a pitcher only from my sophomore year on, a little bit of first base, but I love pitching. I didn't really Didn't really want to play anywhere else.
Well, we talked about your dad being your high school coach. Well, your junior year, I think he was proud of you. You went 8-0 with a .64 earned run average, 120 strikeouts in 66 innings. What clicked your junior year that all of a sudden this consistency just popped in?
I mean, the biggest thing was I started throwing a little harder, and that always helps against high school bats.
Sure.
And I think it was just, attacking both sides of the plate, and that was kind of the time when I kind of threw, a little bit of everything, but the fastball is what, beats high school bats a lot.
Well, out of high school, you went to Mississippi State, you ended up going to the College World Series. When you reflect on Mississippi State, what was some of the easy parts of that, and what was some of the hard parts? What part of the baseball was really a difficult part where you said, man, these guys can hit?
I think just getting to throw in the SEC where, everyone's really good was definitely a big adjustment, coming from high school. And then, we had some big time bats on our own team. So, inter squads were always very competitive. So it's definitely an adjustment.
The key is, I think you went out and competed because you pitched extremely well at Mississippi State. You got drafted number 1 by the San Francisco Giants. At that time of your career, I know Dave was already happy for you to be a part of the Giants organization, being picked number 1 in the draft. And your family was probably saying, hey, it's time to put the uniform on and compete at the professional level. How exciting was that for you?
Oh, I mean, it was unbelievable. I still kind of get goosebumps thinking about it. But just be able to be picked by the, such a, storied franchise, the Giants storied franchise, obviously. So just that, and then, that day was special. We had a lot of family around, and I think Dave had just gotten back from some trip, so he was able to be there. He was a little bit late. He was flying down the highway to get home to help celebrate. But no, I mean, it was so exciting to go to the Giants, and it's a special day.
Will Bednar joined me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show for a few more minutes. Of course, a couple injuries have sidelined you in the past years. You're healthy now. The mental part of injuries is the worst part. I was a pitcher as well as you are. It's sometimes you're just sidelined. Sometimes you want to compete and you just can't. What did you do through those times?
Oh man, the having to grind through that was obviously not easy, and being in Arizona when it's 110 degrees isn't very fun. But I think just trying to stick it out and realizing it will get better, even though sometimes it certainly seemed like it wasn't. But the biggest thing that Dave and my family was trying to hammer home is that it will get better, and eventually it did.
Well, Will, expectations for 2026 as a starter or a reliever, staying healthy, one thing. Velocity, getting the velocity back up, as you talked about your slider, consistent to keep going on the mound and putting zeros on the board. In your mind, what do you think expectations are going to do for you in this year?
It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen, but I mean, in my heart, I would like to make an impact at the big league level.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing everything I can every day to try to get better and prove that I can help out at the big league level. So whenever that may be, I've been trying to prepare to be ready whenever.
Well, Will, I want to thank you for your time today. I want to wish you all the best in spring training and good luck in the upcoming season. I can't wait to see you compete at the big league level. But thank you again today.
Thank you.
That was Will Bednar on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Tying run at second, go ahead run at first as Basabe swings and belts one out to deep left center. Martinez going back. This one is over his head and up against the bottom of the wall. Haas will score the tying run. Cullen flying around third, and he'll score the go-ahead run. It's a 2-out, 2 RBI double. Oslevis Basabe. Giants lead it 6-5.
Back on the Extra Inning post-game show, a great interview with Will Bednar. Got to know him a little bit, and of course he pitched today. Had a nice 1-2-3 inning in the 8th inning for the San Francisco Giants, and they scored 3 in the bottom of the 8th inning. As you just heard Joe Russo talk about Basabe getting a double with first and second, driving in the first 2 runs of the 3 runs in that 8th inning. And Will Bednar gets a win. He's 1-0. Of course, a nice 1-2-3 inning, punched out a guy. And he's getting a look, and I think the key here is being healthy. As I said in that interview, lower back issues, shoulder issues, a number 1 pick from the San Francisco Giants years ago, and I just want to see him be out there for a full year, and I think all Giants fans have the potential, see the potential, I should say, in what he can bring out of the bullpen for the San Francisco Giants, but hoping that he has a healthy season. Giants today win 2. They win 7-5 against the Texas Rangers in Scottsdale. And at Talking Stick, Salt River Fields, the San Francisco Giants went over to play the Diamondbacks, and they won that game 7-4, so they win a doubleheader today. And as you know, 12-2 doesn't matter in spring training, but I think you want to get the winning attitude, the winning confidence of these guys. And in Scottsdale, you had Adames, Chapman, Bailey, Schmidt, Eldridge, all guys that could make this club, and it looks like they could. And this roster is going to have to be made 2 weeks. That's what's left before the Giants break Scottsdale, and they come back and play a inter-squad game or a scrimmage or whatever you want to call it, an exhibition game against the Sacramento River Cats on the 22nd. And on the 25th, opening day, the only game on Major League Baseball where the New York Yankees come to town, and the San Francisco Giants will be playing them at 5:05 at Oracle Park. Just a good day overall, some good players that had some good days today. I want to talk about Gerard Encarnacion, a player that's really needs to continue to doing what he did today. He had 2 nice hits with 2 outs with runners in scoring position, and he ended up getting a double, going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Matos and Luis Matos. Talked about both these guys through the whole show today, and Matos hitting over 400, 450, right in that range. They're both out of options, and they got to continue to put pressure on Buster Posey and Tony Vitello to say, hey, we want to make this club. We want to help the Giants out for the 2026 season. It's going to be tough. This is going to be a lot of decisions that will take place in the next couple weeks as the roster will be trimmed. Guys will be going down in the minor leagues, and there won't be that much flip-flopping in innings as these guys will start playing a little bit more as the next 2 weeks happen in spring training, just as well as the pitchers. You're starting to see the starting pitching go a little deeper. A real nice outing by Carson Wisdom today. And on the other side, J.T. Brubaker, who's trying to break in that bullpen, he threw 3 nice innings against the Diamondbacks today, only giving up 1 hit. So more names being piled on in that bullpen. More names are trying to succeed to try to get into that bullpen. A lot of competition still going on here in the next couple of weeks, but we'll find out, and we'll be covering it right here on KNBR. Coming up next, I sit down with Dave Brundage. She's going to be in his 10th year as a manager of the Sacramento River Cats. Really a fantastic teacher, a coach, a mentor, and really like a father to some of these guys. And I sat down with Dave and talked about his coaching staff, the only coaching staff that really didn't make any changes in AAA. Alan Keano is the pitching coach. P.J. Peltier is the hitting coach. Hobert Cabrera is the fundamental coach. And a couple other ones that are still in the Sacramento River coaching staff. Coming up next, I sit down with Dave. We talk baseball, we talk about life, and we talk about how does he keep doing it over 40 years in Major League Baseball. Dave Brundage coming up next right here on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show on KNBR, the sports leader.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm honored and excited to talk to my guest today. He's entering his 10th year as the manager of the Sacramento River Cats. Did a great job there for the past 10 years. 41 years he's been in professional baseball. Let's bring in my buddy Dave Brundage. Brundy, how are you today?
I'm good, Bill. Just enjoying a little off season. Last couple of days here before we head to Arizona, and looking forward to it. Once again, it never gets old. I think once you get rolling, you get your 3-4 months off, and you start to get excited, and I think my wife gets excited even more than I do, just for the fact that I'm leaving.
Well, Brundy, as I said, 10 years with the Sacramento River Cats. And what's great about it is your whole staff is returning. Some great coaches. Alan Keano, your pitching coach, PJ Peltier, and of course, Holbert Cabrera, who's been with you for a long time. These three are your main guys. These three are your guys you rely on. How does that feel when you look back, all the years they've been with you, and a couple of them a couple years, but overall, that whole staff's coming back again?
Yeah, I think, it obviously speaks volumes about them. Coming back, and I think there's a lot to be said about being comfortable around your coaching staff, understanding, what I'm looking for, understand what they are looking for, working together, understand, every day when you come to work, it's not, hey, looking over your shoulder or anything like that. Hey, you come in, you get your job done, and, we develop players.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is a lot with you, too. Communication with your coaches as well as communication with your players. That's a big plus. When you look at how many players come through your locker room every year, going to the big leagues, coming back from the big leagues, there's a plus and a minus there. But you rely on your coaches also to help them, the pitching department, hitting department. How does that work with you with players?
Well, I think, you hit it on the head. It's about communicating. I think that, where you're comfortable with each other's style, they understand what I'm, what we're trying to accomplish. They understand that, hey, the more comfortable you are, the better coach you're going to be, and not complacent, comfortable, just understand that, hey, you're coming to work. And you're going to get the job done. And every day, you're trying to develop players and come up with different, your style, and understand that, this is what we're trying to get done. And I think, the more comfortable they get with me and understand my expectations from our staff, from our, development staff, and our system, just understanding each other. And I think that's pretty cool along the way when you start to get comfortable and understand that, hey, this is what he expects. This is what we expect as an organization, and it filters all the way through our system.
That voice you hear on the Extra Inning Postgame Show is a manager. 10 years now, he will start the season at the Sacramento River Cats, Dave Brundage. A few things that happened in your career with the Sacramento River Cats: 3 league championships. But I tell you, 2019 was a special year when you won the national championship in AAA. These things are all accolades. These things are all positive things on your resume. What brings you back every year, Dave?
I think the game of baseball. I mean, it's in our blood. It's in my blood. It's something that I'm very comfortable doing. It's understanding, the game of baseball. I think just from a standpoint, like I said, I get, you get excited about, coming back to spring training, seeing, new players, understanding you're working with different players, working with the same players that we've worked with over the last, 4 years. I mean, we've had, some of these guys come through our system, and I think, watching them develop and watching them getting an opportunity and watching an Elliot Ramos, go to the big leagues, those are so gratifying, I think, from my standpoint, from our coach's standpoint, watching, guys excel at the big league level and knowing that we did our job and help these young players get to the big leagues, I think, along the way. And it's certainly from that standpoint, those are the small accolades that you talk about. And those are the things that, there's not a lot of back patting going on, in the minor leagues, from a coaching standpoint. So those are the things that you live for, and helping develop and, on a daily basis, spending those hours and spending that time, helping that player develop and understand that, hey, look, we're just trying to get you to the big leagues with no other motives.
Well, Dave, like I said, 41 years in professional baseball. Baseball has changed, and it's changed to the good part, the teaching elements, analytics, different things of each game is dissected each day from your hitting coaches, your pitching coaches, as well as you developing players. You just talked about it. But when you sit down at the end of the day and you're seeing guys get better each day, and some of them work harder each day. Fans don't understand all the early work that you guys do, all the early timing hitting, all the pitching on the side. How does that make you feel when you look at a season? And last year you were 77 and 73. When you overlook a season, what do you say to yourself at the end of the year?
You know what? It's always funny because you always can't wait for it to be over, and yet you can't wait for it to start.
Yeah, so true too.
It's a grind, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. What goes into a ball game. It's not like, hey, we just show up at 6:30 and play it. 6:45 or 7 o'clock. There's so many hours that that our staff puts in, and getting to the ballpark, and I enjoy being at the ballpark. I like getting to the ballpark, and genuinely, I probably get to the ballpark around, say, 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't get home until say 11 o'clock. We get back up and we do it again. That's what we love. You want to be prepared in your job, and I know that our staff is always there. My expectations is, you don't have to get there at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, to be a good coach. But at the same time, if you're preparing yourself and preparing for when the players do get here, and hey, this is what my plan is for today. This is what I have all lined up for this player and this player and this player, and this is how we're going to try to get him better today. Whether you sit down in my office or whether they're out there on the field, whether they're out there in the bullpen or in the batting cage or doing something productive that's going to help get them better.
Dave Brunish, the manager of the Sacramento River Cats, starting his 10th season with the River Cats this year, is joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. We talk about development. That word always comes up at the AAA level. You've been at AAA for 21 years. That next step is hard. That next step is something that players want to gravitate to. They want to get better. They want to be successful at that big league level. But then some of them don't. Some of them have to get that punch in the gut and come back to AAA. It's one of the hardest things. You and I both did it with players. It's hard to come back. It's hard to come back in AAA and say, I didn't succeed. How do you do that as a manager? How do you bring them in your office and say, okay, we got to have a restart now?
Well, I mean, we've talked before about, one of the toughest parts of our job, one of the toughest parts of my job is dealing with that and understanding that, hey, it's not the players that are coming up from AA and getting to AAA, because that, the motivation's there. They're happy. But you also got to deal with the downside of players coming back from the big leagues, understanding whether they deserved it or not. We've had a million players come back where, it just was a situation, where maybe they excelled at the big league level. Well, there's also ones that, that didn't produce at the big league level. We always say that, the toughest thing is not getting to the big leagues. The toughest thing is staying in the big leagues. And along the way that, these players coming back, well, you know what, then becomes, more mental and understand, hey, where's the motivation going to come from? How are we going to motivate this player, to make sure that he is on top of his game? Because, I've had so many players over my years. I'll use the example, Gregor Blanco. I had Gregor Blanco over with the Braves, and Gregor Blanco came back, and he had done his job, but at the big league level, but he was pouting, moping, and doing everything like that. I think, sometimes we had to kick him in the ass and get going. He starts, he's not swinging the bat. He's just not really caring, everything like that. Well, he goes through. Well, I mean, he got himself an earful. And we still talk about it to this day. Every time Gregor Blanco comes back, when he comes back and he thanks me every time. And he says, you know what, because Gregor Blanco went back on to play for at least 10 years, probably in the big leagues after that moment where he was hitting a $190 in AAA and not doing his job and just kind of going through the motions. And, he was, a very talented player that could play that role, and obviously went on to help San Francisco over the years. But,
sure.
Those little things like that where, that makes our job tough. But at the same time, those are the challenging moments, where we have to have this guy, we have to get him right. And whether it be mentally, physically, or both. And I think along the way, you're trying to help Tyler Fitzgerald, get his, get him going, and the confidence, and get that confidence back along the way. And every player is different, along the way. So yeah, I mean, there's certain challenging moments, and those are probably the most challenging when guys are coming back from the big leagues.
And I think, Grundy, that makes you special. That makes you a special manager. The communication, we talked about it earlier with your coaching staff, just like you. Those are the stories that bring you back every year. Those are the stories that enlighten you as a manager to bring that back, to enlighten these players. And that's what makes you special. And that's what's so good about you and your communication skills. And I've told you that many times. Players respect that. Players respect how you bring them in their office and talk to them. That is a big key. And I think that's why you're so successful at the level that you're at. But I want to ask you a couple questions about a couple of your coaches. Holbert Cabrera, one of the best defensive coaches, a fundamental coach, very articulate about defense. What does he do for you on the defensive side where he teaches that?
Well, I think first it starts with his passion, the passion that he has every day, and the energy, for his age. And I mean, he's still like a little kid sometimes, along the way. I mean, every day he goes, the way he goes about it, he doesn't get enough credit for what, what he's accomplished and the players that he's helped along the way. I think with, Cabby's, obviously behind the scenes in AAA and everything like that, but he's the guy that's working day in and day out with, with Bryce Eldridge and Tyler Fitzgerald and these guys that, obviously, need to work on their defense. So he's the one out there at 2:00 in the afternoon, making sure these guys are getting their reps, what they need to work on, working on their deficiencies, understanding, hey, this is having their routine and a daily routine, day in and day out. Just along the way, I just think, Cabby doesn't get enough credit because, for the job that he does, the energy he brings and the passion that he brings day in and day out, he loves his players. You know what? He loves his infielders. He loves, he's the first guy in my office every day checking. He comes in and he checks the stats, and I said, "Well, you quit checking the stats, And I just say, quit checking this. But that's who he is. He comes in and he checks. Hey, look, you know what? We climbed above a couple teams yesterday, defensively and things like that. So, that's where his mind's at, and that's what you love from a coaching staff, and that's what you want from a managing standpoint, is you want your players, you want your coaching staff to, to have that passion day in and day out. And it certainly shows on the field, and their coaching ability.
Well, the hitting coach, P.J. Peltier, had spent some time in the big leagues with the Rockies and the Yankees. His second year coming back as a hitting coach. Some great philosophies. I interviewed him a couple times last year. And here's a new voice coming into your locker room last year. How did that translate in some of these guys understanding them, believing them, and then working with them?
PJ was great. It's not easy to do what he did. We just talked about players coming back from the big leagues.
Yeah.
And what a letdown it is in a sense, But if you love this game and you love doing what you're doing, it certainly will show up in your work and your work ethic, I think, along the way. You know, it wasn't easy for PJ. He's been in the big leagues, you know, I mean, Yankees and Colorado, you know, and here he was coming back to Sacramento. You know what? But PJ brought it every single day. And, you know, that's who he is. You know, he cares about his players, you know, cares about his hitters. It shows up. PJ's there early. You can hear balls clanging around in the batting cage, you know, and I got to walk over there, and it's 12 o'clock, you know, and him and Hunter Bishop are in there swinging the bat, you know, and everything like that. And Hunter's in there swinging, and PJ's in there working, you know, working to get him right, I think, along the way. And not just Hunter, but I mean, there was numerous,
sure,
you know, Marco Luciano, you know, trying to get players right, you know, having these players and having Bryce in there and working with him on a daily basis and everything like that, trying to get these guys right and get their routine down.
Well, Dave, you know, I love talking pitching, and Alan Keano is one of the best. I love interviewing with him, some of the things that he talks about, different philosophies of pitching, different getting your mindset, different theories that he has. And he's coming back for his third year. He's been in the organization 6 years, 3 at Eugene, and now here, third in Sacramento. And a lot of the pitchers that I have interviewed really likes how he breaks the game down. Tell me a little bit about him.
Well, I mean, you know, kind of like the other, you know, other two we mentioned. I mean, he brings it every day. He's there early. He is so prepared, and one of the most prepared pitching coaches that I've had. You know, everything is down, everything is there. You know what? And our relationship, you know, has only grown stronger and stronger. And because I know that I rely on him so much, you know, in the pitching department, and understanding that, hey, you know what, this is your department, you take care of it. And that's what he does every single day. He goes to tackle it every single day. It's not an easy job. You know what? He's got a lot of voices, and he's got a lot of people, you know, in his ear, you know, for this guy and, you know, that guy, you know, and certain guys, and understand, hey, you know what, understand answering questions. And he has to answer to, you know, obviously people, you know, above us. And you've got a big league pitching coach. You've got an assistant big league pitching coach. You've got the front office. There's a lot of different voices that are coming his way a lot of times. And, you know, for him to juggle and handle that job the way he does, he's prepared every day. And I think that's one of the best assets, you know, that a pitching coach can have, because you've got a lot of people pulling strings and pulling you in a lot of different directions and a lot of different opinions. But at the same time, you know what, it has to be your opinion, you know what, but you just gather the information, and there needs to be just one voice is what I'm trying to say. You know what, because if there's too many Indians, you know, in the kitchen, you know what, then you know what, then these players, they get confused.
Yeah.
And understand, and that's sometimes what happens. I know everybody wants to help and everything like that, but at the same time, he does a great job of keeping all that together and understanding that, hey, he needs to be the voice in AAA. You know what, you've got pitching coordinators, you've got all these different, you know, voices, you've got everybody from, you know, the outside trying to help, and they mean well, but at the same time, you know, the players, you know, sometimes, you know, they get torn, because who do I listen to? Well, you know what, you have to you listen to Q, and that's where the information's coming from, and that's how you're going to get better, not the other, you know, 10 voices, because it's a combination of opinions along the way.
Well, Grundy, faces change in baseball so many times each year, and I'm so glad you are back. I'm glad your staff is back. It's a great foundation that Sacramento Rivercats have for another year. I want to congratulate you also. 10 years now as the manager of the Sacramento Rivercats. Can't wait to continue to catch up with you as the season goes, but have a great time in spring training. It's a little warmer in Scottsdale these days.
I love it. You know what, and I'm excited, you know, just as always. You know what, you know, you love the game, you know, the experience, you know, you see something new every day. And I think when I'm going to be done is when those experiences stop happening. I think along the way, where you stop seeing something, you know, every single day or every single year, you see something, you got new faces like we talk about.
Yep.
You know what, and that's what makes it fun, you know, coming to, you know, spring training, and you got a little jump in your step. And you know what, I know it's a dubious honor, and obviously being there 10 years and everything like that along the way, and being 41 years, spent 41 years in the minor leagues, but you know what, I truly love it.
Well, Grundy, you're good at it. I can congratulate you again going back. That was Dave Brundage on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. As we close out a Saturday, the Giants had a doubleheader today. They ended up beating the Texas Rangers 7-5 in Scottsdale. Ended up going to play the Arizona Diamondbacks at Talking Stick and won that game too. They win a nice doubleheader today. They go 12-2 on the spring. Tomorrow, they entertain the Chicago Cubs as they go to Mesa to play the Cubs. Landon Root will take the hill for the Giants. Blade Tidwell will be following him up, and we'll have the Extra Inning post-game show following that game to talk about that and a little bit more about Landon Root's appearance. For Bill Laskey, I want to thank my guests today, Dave Brundage, as well as Will Bednar. Two good interviews. You can also hear them if you missed them on the All KNBR podcast. I want to thank Kyle Harr for producing the show, as well as all you callers calling in. We'll do it again tomorrow on the Extra Inning post-game show following up the Cubs-Giants game. For Bill Laskey, have a great rest of the night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's a